Mr. Anchia, for what purpose?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield for some questions?
Does
Yes,
the gentleman yield for questions? The
Gladly.
gentleman yields.
Yeah, you referred to an executive order by the governor. When was that executive order done?
This past fall.
Okay.
October, maybe October-ish.
Do you have the exact date?
I do not.
And what was the number of the executive order? As you know, executive orders have numbers associated with them. Can you cite the exact executive order?
I'm sorry, sir. I do not have that number in my head.
Can you read the language of the executive order?
I don't have it with me, sir.
Okay. What is the effect? What is the legal effect of
But
executive?
just so you understand that this.
Sorry,
this,
I have a question.
okay.
what is
I'm
it-
trying to answer your previous question. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, but it didn't say. You said you didn't have the language of the order in front of you,
Correct.
which I asked you to read, and that's okay. What is the legal?
But the language for
what
what I'm doing actually is in the amendment itself. So
what is
it
the
stands
legal
alone.
effect? What do executive orders do? What is the legal effect of executive orders?
It basically instructs from the executive level the entities to do what the governor is asking them to do.
And what entities did the executive order include?
Hospitals receiving state funds.
Okay, and I think you also said prisons, correct?
That's a separate amendment, sir. So I'm not, which amendment are you referring to?
So you have you
I have
referenced
two amendments
You
that I'm
referenced
motioning
two
to
of them,
instruct. Yes, sir.
right? On your motion to instruct. So
That's correct.
I assume that your motion to instruct includes both amendments, one related to hospitals and one related to prisons. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And they're both before the House right now in your motion to instruct. Is
That's
that correct?
correct.
Okay. So why do we need this motion to instruct if we have an executive order from the executive branch to require the provision of this data to the head of the executive branch, the governor? Explain that to me.
We're not acting on that. And by the way, I have spoken with the governor's office about that, and they are supportive of this.
No. That's non-responsive to my question. If we have an executive order from the governor that requests this information from the executive branch, why is the executive branch not providing that to the governor?
Listen, Mr. Representative Anchia, I believe that we represent the people in our districts. The legislature has not
That's not
acted on.
responsive. That's not responsive to my question.
We're not in a courtroom, sir.
The
legislature has not acted upon this, and this is an attempt by this body to act on this motion. That's why I've offered
I'm just
this.
curious about separation of powers here. We have an executive order from the governor directing the executive branch to give him information. Why is that not occurring today, and why do we, as the legislature, need to tell the executive branch what information to give the governor?
Why would we object?
No, I'm asking what is not happening in the process in the executive branch? Is there a failure in the executive branch that this information is not being provided?
Listen, I represent 200,000 citizens in my district, and I think that this is something they would love to see pass and get into their budget, and I think that that's incumbent upon us as a legislative body to be able to do. And this is not in conflict. This is simply supplementary.
I'm just curious why the executive branch is not being responsive to the governor. If you tell me,
and why would we object to actually legislating this?
Pardon me. I'd like.
Members, this is a question and answer. Please do not talk over each other so
you.
all members can hear your debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm just kind of curious about the failure in the executive branch that prevents the prison system and the hospital system from being responsive to the governor's request. Are you aware of a failure to respond?
I'm not aware of any failure.
Thank you.